Hello everyone, my name is Phil. I am a PhD student at Cornell studying smart contract security as well as a hobby casual glass blower who runs a glass blowing studio. Nice to meet you all. I'm going to talk about today, my title of my talk is A Journey Through Glass and Blockchains. So I'm going to rant at you a little bit about glass, and I'm going to rant a little bit about blockchains, and then I'm going to rant a little bit about glass and blockchains, and hopefully I'll finish before the 7 minutes is done, and you get your time back. All right, great. So let's start with glass, because that's the first word in my talk title in the lexicographical order. A Journey Through Glass. I started blowing glass in college. I watched a movie, which I recommend everyone here who enjoys glass, who likes the material of glass, and who's curious to learn more, also check out. This movie is called Degenerate Art, the Art and Culture of Glass Pipes. And it's about kind of a rogue art-making movement in America, which started in the 60s following the Grateful Dead around all of their festivals, and making these really ornate pipes. And it was, at first, a bunch of kind of burned out hippies just trying to get from place to place and kind of feed themselves. But they started doing this more and more, and then actually what ended up happening is they built a community of glass artists who began innovating with new types of materials. So in the 60s and 70s, we had the advent of Pyrex or borosilicate glass. That was kind of a sea change in the glass blowing world because it allowed you to do things you can't do with soft glass, like reheat the glass multiple times as you work on it. And that opens up a whole different world of techniques that's totally different from kind of the traditional glass art people think of that originated in kind of Venice and old Italy and things like that as a craft. So this movie is basically about the culture clash between these pipe makers and the traditional glass artists in the art world who essentially didn't consider them legitimate artists, had a lot of stigma around kind of the origins of this work and things like that, which then gave these kind of, I guess, renegades a little bit of a chip on their shoulder, and they needed to just kind of push things harder and harder until they started making art that was kind of irrefutably several generations ahead of what was being made in the traditional art world. And eventually now the two worlds are kind of one, and there's a lot of collaboration between kind of borosilicate glass, which broadly kind of encompasses the American garage glass art movement, as it's called, starting in the 60s there, and soft glass, which again kind of dates back thousands of years. So I highly recommend you check out that documentary. I watched it, and I was enthralled because I love I love a rebel story. I love a little bit of a counterculture. All these people got raided by the FBI at some point, which is great. That's really what we go for here at IC3. Oh, Kushal, sorry. I saw that and I was like, wow, I really want to learn how to blow glass. How do I do this? Because when you watch the movie, it just shows you these scenes of these people making these incredible objects out of nothing in just hours, and you're like, wow, I really wish I could do this. And I looked into it, and it turned out learning how to blow glass, it's hundreds of dollars. You need kind of safety equipment. You often need to travel to a hub of glass blowing somewhere like Cornell in New York, or Eugene, Oregon is another one, or there's several others kind of across the United States. And then go to a fancy glass university program or vocational school where you learn from masters. And to have this be worth your money, you really need to already be pretty good at blowing glass, because what you want to learn are those kind of tips to take you to that next level. So I got a little bit discouraged, and I went on with my computer science degree and forgot about glass entirely until I saw a Craigslist post that said, glass blowing class, $60, 2 hours, BYOB, in my garage. And I was like, wow, this is the coolest thing I've ever heard. I have to find this guy. So answer random Craigslist posts. It often leads to a complete detour in life in very meaningful ways. And I ended up meeting, someone I respect and really admire more than anyone out here, which is Jason Mack of Mac Glass. He's the one who we commissioned the piece from outside that we're displaying our NFTs on. He taught me how to blow glass for 3 years. I ended up going to kind of do it on my own after that. So you saw the piece, right? It's kind of cool. What is it? It's a handmade set of glass panels made out of industrial glass, designed to kind of mimic the style of this building, which is very industrial and kind of machine-produced, although a lot of things in this building are actually handmade. And kind of handmade in America, a piece that we could use as a canvas to kind of give that sense of awe. We knew we wanted it to be big, and we knew we wanted it to be impressive. So this was the original drawing. You can see there were these glass cubes supporting various TVs throughout the structure, which were supposed to kind of be home to programmable visuals and things like that. We ended up scrapping this design, which was one of the many initial sketches, because, can anyone guess why? Yeah, glass is heavy. This is like 8,000 pounds of glass or something like that when we do the math. So that wouldn't really work. So anyway, we ended up what we have today, which is a bunch of kind of hand-casted glass tiles of industrial glass on a hand-welded aluminum frame, all made in America, with kind of a reused projector screen from an old church that we've backlit with a laser projector to bring you a fun NFT experience. Okay, so where's the blockchain come into this? Well, I only have 1 minute left. I love ranting about glass, it's bad. Where does it come in? Well, when I was a much younger, much more put together, like you saw on that slide earlier, respectable PhD applicant rather than an end-stage PhD student you see sitting before you today. I was interviewing for various PhDs, and I talked to Ari, who I really liked because of his Ring of Guide Use paper, which you should check out. It's all about how to use smart contracts for various types of crime, like assassination markets, ransomware, et cetera, et cetera. So I was like, wow, this is a great vibe. Let's check this out. And I remember the first time I met Ari, we of course jammed about blockchains for like 2 hours because we both love blockchains. Happy to talk to you about blockchains after this. And he was like, at the end, he was like, let me know if you think I'm crazy. Blockchain art. And I was like, no, I don't think you're crazy at all. And did one of my characteristic rants like I'm doing before you here today. And we talked about glass. I showed him some of my glass. We talked about Jason's glass. I was like, we should talk to him. Hence the birth of this piece and this gallery. As I was putting together the rest of the gallery, whenever you're kind of making a space for people to come in, the theme always just comes to you. And I think for me, this gallery and like the kind of installation around it is, and that's my timer, I'm a bad boy, the summation of the last 6 years of my life work, which is kind of the ethical tension between technical utopia and dystopia that we all kind of have to face and reckon with as technologists, especially ones that are so privileged to be sitting in a building like this today with all of these wonderful people here. So hopefully it's a little bit thought-provoking and makes you think about the technologies we build and also the amazing future they promise us, but also the care we need to exercise in deploying them, especially in such a complicated world like we live in today. So that's what I'm thinking about as I end my PhD. Thank you for listening to me rant. Happy to talk about the piece, the gallery, anything like that. Hang out after, check it out. It looks great in the dark. That's all I have to say. Thank you, folks. Time for one question. Ask me anything, don't be shy. Did you forget your prescription this morning? No. Yeah. Yes.
What was the aha moment for you?
The aha moment for me was reading the Bitcoin white paper. I come from Occupy Wall Street. I was there for like 2 years on the ground. After that, I worked on sort of digital rights, especially surveillance, kind of resistance and freedom from surveillance. Worked on the Tor project. Tried to build a distributed WikiLeaks. That ended up not working for technical reasons. Then I read the Bitcoin white paper, and it both solved a bunch of problems in my distributed WikiLeaks thing. It was badass as fuck, and it gave me a way to live without the banks, kind of for several years of my life, which I did, and ended up living kind of solely on Bitcoin after that. So for me, it was like, that was the aha moment. It was like, we have a way to do this without Wall Street. And is it better? I don't know. That's the tension in the gallery, but it is what it is. We have alternatives at least. So that's my aha moment. All right, thanks for listening and hearing me.